Hello. Um, Today's video will be about how does the internet work. Uh, I was initially planning on including what I learned about HTTP, domain name, hosting, DNS, and how browsers work, but I felt it would be best to have how the internet works separately, and then all these five will be in one video. But essentially, my next video will be done with the internet section of this roadmap. So how does the internet work? This hinges on understanding what the internet is in the first place. And what we'll be covering here basically is what the internet is and how we connect to the internet and all of that. And it's be covering some not a deep dive, but some fundamental concepts such as what the local area network is, how to set up a local area network, how it connects to the internet from a local area network, what exactly the internet is, how does your phone connect to the internet. So basically, that's what we're looking at. Before we go any further, right? The internet isn't a very complicated thing. It is more or less a network of networks. That is what the internet is. It isn't more complicated than that. When someone says the internet, it is just multiple networks talking to each other or multiple computers communicating over a network to each other with each other rather. So and that is what the internet is. But let's try to gain like a further understanding of what we mean by multiple networks communicating with each other. Now, this is a LAN, right? And this is this box here. So that is computer one, computer two, computer three, the router, and the switch is a LAN. Technically, you don't even need a router to set up a LAN. So a LAN is the acronym for local area network. It is a network that is set up in a restricted area. So like in your house or in your library or in your computer lab, just a small area where you have like it's not over large distances. It's usually within the same building or something, the same office, something like that. So that's what the LAN is. Now, the idea is we have three, four, five, six, 20 computers that want to communicate with each other, right? But we don't want to do that over the internet. So we don't want that to be, what I say, public, if that's the right word to use. We want that communication to be in-house and isolated, right? What we do in that situation is we get something called a switch, which is this guy here. So that's a switch. Now, switch is has ports. It is like a box. Let's see if we can find it. So yeah, this is what the switch is in the switch I'm talking about. So you can see that it has a lot of ports, right? And usually what will happen is we'll connect our computers to this port, and once all these computers are connected to that port, then they can communicate with each other and a LAN is set up. So a LAN isn't particularly complicated. It's not a complicated concept. It is computers that are in a restricted area connected to each other through a switch. So and that is how they communicate with themselves. And so they send data to each other. So the computer one wants to send data to computer three, sends it to the switch. The switch reads the destination port of that packet. A packet being the name we call the data that is being moved across computers. Sends the destination port of that packet. It reads the destination port of that packet and it sends it to the corresponding computer, right? So, and that's what the switch is. That's what the LAN is. That is how a LAN works. Now, if for the sake of this course, for learning in this regard in particular, we actually want to know how a LAN connects to the internet and how we communicate with other LANs over the internet, or how we communicate with other networks over the internet. So, and it makes use of something called a router. So, a router is what a LAN uses to connect to the internet. Now, when you send a request or a packet that you want to go to the internet, you send it to the switch from your computer, and the switch forwards that to the router, and then your own router forwards that to the internet. Now, the internet itself is can be thought of as a cluster of routers, right? So when your packet travels from this route, let me see if I can change the color of this. Yeah, this is right. So when your packets travels in this from here, hits your router, it comes into this router here, right? Now, the big question usually is how does it know what direction to go? Like it could go this way, this way, this way, this way, right? So we're trying to send some data to LAN 2, or it could go this way and this way, right? So what happens is the routers on the internet have something called a routing table, and routing table is what helps them to decide what routes the packet should choose. So, and that's how they decide that. But essentially, that's how packets travel over the internet. So they go from your from your switch to your router. The router sends that over to the internet. The internet, with all these multiple routers, decide what's the shortest path or the optimal path for your packets to travel through to get to its preferred destination. So, and that is this is the internet in a nutshell. Now, imagine you magnify this or you amplify this, and now you have 700 networks or 16,000 networks trying to talk to each other, right? And all of them trying to communicate with each other is the internet. Like, fine, we call this the internet, but technically, this LAN 1 and LAN 2, all of them are the internet. Like, the entire system is the internet. So, and that's what the internet is. Um, Another big issue, or something that was particularly interesting to me was okay, so if that's how networks, in the sense of we have a local area network, communicates with each other, how do we connect over the internet? How do we communicate over the internet from the perspective of a personal computer, right? So, and there is this. So usually you would have your home computer, right, connected to your home router, and it could be wireless. In a lot of cases, it's usually wireless, but um, your home router is technically different from the router I showed you before. So your home router is a combination of a switch and a router. So it does both jobs. So you could set up a LAN using your home router. Now, when your home computer sends packets to your home router forwards that packets to the internet. The internet does this thing and finds the the resource you're looking for, and then the resource is sent back, right? So I asked for YouTube's homepage. YouTube's homepage is sent back. Now, YouTube isn't floating somewhere in the air. It is sitting on actual computers. We call them servers, but for the sake of simplicity, think of servers as somebody else's desktop sitting somewhere else across the world. Now, usually you have YouTube sitting on multiple desktops across the world, so that if one desktop was to crash and burn, YouTube doesn't crash and burn alongside that desktop. So, and that is how your home computer communicates to YouTube. Now, there are other concepts that, like, it isn't exactly as simple as this, right? So you have other things like what's HTTP, what a domain name server, what a DNS is, and all of those things, right? But we're going to cover that in the next video. In this video, we're just trying to have a general overview, or like a solid overview of how these systems communicate with each other. So, and this is how it happens. One other interesting thing is this whole setup is usually currently, or so far, has been hinged on you having a home router, and your home router having some type of wired connection. So usually, your service providers will pass like fiber optic cables to your house, and then you plug that to your home router, and then your home router will supply you internet, right, or internet connection, right? But what happens in the situation where you are connected from your cellular network? So you're using your phone and you're not connected to any router. You're just using your mobile network. So in that situation, what happens is we have something called, they call them cell towers. Now your phone sends radio signals to that cell tower. The cell tower takes those radio signals, converts them to digital signals, and then is sent to something called a core network. Now, a core network is run by your internet provider, right? The people who provide you internet, in quotes. Now, and that core network is where the switching and the routing. So this guy here and this guy here. So those two things also happen on the core network, and then you are connected to the internet. So technically, it is still the same setup in some way, right? It is just there are some fundamental differences, but This setup properly embodies how we connect to the internet, or how we speak to each other over the internet, how different computers talk to themselves over the internet. So, and that's how your cell phone or your mobile device connects to the internet and communicates with the internet. So, in a nutshell, the few things that are important here is uh, the internet is the network of networks. So it is a combination of multiple networks talking to themselves. And you could also think about it as a cluster of routers passing packets up and down to different networks, right? So there are a few questions that have been. What is a LAN? If you had that question, LAN stands for local area network. As I said, it is a network set up in a restricted area. A switch is what we use to um, route communication between computers sitting on the same network. And a router is what a network uses to communicate to the internet. Um, I get that, and that is about it. That is the internet. It is more complicated than that. It is. I was shocked by how easy it was to have a high level understanding of what the internet is. It is easy to go down the rabbit hole of networking and s- start picking up a lot of other things, but this is still also being a web developer, somebody who writes front end and back end. And so a lot of those things are good to know. So if you are more interested in it, you could always seek out that knowledge. But for the purpose of what we are learning and what we are trying to learn here, what we're trying to do here, there isn't any particular need at this moment to go that deep into a lot of these things. We just want to know what the internet is and how it works, and this is how it works from a high level point of view. In the next video, we'll be looking at more 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 focused concepts like what a domain name server is, and what is HTTP, what's HTTPS, those kind of protocols, and all of those things. Oh, another interesting thing that I was going to talk about and I learned is what streaming is. So streaming is when I send packets to the YouTube server, right? I say, oh, I clicked on this video, so I watched this video. Two things could happen. YouTube could decide to send me 500 MB worth of a video at once, right? And that's particularly slow. So what um, programmers or software engineers decided to do is to send the packets in bits or like in pieces, so piece by piece. And that's why if you were to play YouTube video, you would see like a darker gray line on that your progress bar that shows how much of video you watch. Like you see just loading slowly, right? So the further it goes, the more packets it has received, right? So and because that what that does is instead of us waiting for all of the video to get to our home computer, right? We can start watching the video in pieces, right? And as the more information is coming in, the more of that video we have to watch. Now, if your internet is particularly slow, it could be that you would have seen all of the all of the pieces that have been sent to you before more coming. But if your internet is fast enough, you wouldn't particularly notice any difference. You just have a smooth experience. So yeah, this is what the internet is. This is a high level overview of how we communicate over the internet. See you guys in the next one. Oh, also, if you have any questions, most people who are going to watch this are my friends anyway. You could always just ping me. And if you're not a friend of mine, you will just leave a comment, and I'll be sure to respond. I like any questions or any opinions or anything. Yeah, thank you.